First, let me talk about the cartoon and then about Naivasha.
All right.
I think the cartoon is interesting. I seem to be able to recognize most faces except the face right in the middle with the bald head.
With the bald head, I can see it.
Holding one big shoe. I really don't understand who that is or whose shoe that is. Obviously, it's a lady's shoe. But the rest of the faces are recognizable. You will see that my friend Murkomen has gone back to yellow together with the DP, as recent pictures usually depict, you know, and is being served something that is clearly not bitter, not sweet, because the DP is crying. You can see that they're depicting Raila as being one of the chief cooks, or the chief chef,
yes,
which is a proper depiction of this process. You can see that they're depicting the president, and I think that's Anne Waiguru, as contributing to the cooking, which I think is also largely true. I think they're depicting rather, you know, unfairly, I think, Kalonzo Musyoka, you know, with some watermelon. You know, when you're cooking soup, you don't put watermelon in the soup. Watermelon you take before, you know. So I don't know why they've chosen to do that.
But there's a trap there. What is it for? Is it for the watermelon? If you look,
it seems to be a rat trap. I don't know what a rat trap is doing in a place of serious cooking. But maybe there are rats to be trapped in this process. There are people who are pretending to be part of it, but they're actually just rats. So maybe that's what it's about. Let me come back to the question you've asked. Are politicians taking over? In my view, politicians are participating. They are not taking over, because they've always been part of it from the word go. This was an initiative by two leading politicians in this country for the future of the country. The team itself comprises of politicians. They are practicing politicians who are part of the BBI team. And at the end of the day, constitution making is as much a legal as it is a political process. So you can never accuse politicians of participating or taking over unless you do not want the process to succeed. Even when we come to referendum, even when we come to the actual changes, even if it was an amendment by parliamentary initiative, the politicians will participate. So the fact of politicians participating by itself is not wrong at all. Even my brother here, Dr. Selisimi, who is complaining, we were with him in Kakamega. If he thought that politicians have no business, then you should not even attend any of those meetings, whether it's Naivasha, whether it's Mombasa, whether it's Kakamega or Kisii. Yep. I think it is right for politicians to participate. So the question should be, what are they participating and doing? Is it building to the process? Is it constructive? For me, as long as the language is tempered, as long as it's non-violent, it is completely healthy to hold differing opinions and build the process together. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem, though, is, and I see Professor Manyora has even commented on it, there has been absolute confusion in the corner to which Dr. Halwale and my friend Aaron Chiriot belong. They have not made up their minds what they want. You know, they've been blowing hot and cold at every turn. As Dr. Selisimi says properly, when the process started, they gave it a wide berth. In fact, many of them swore they will not participate. Some even swore that the team will not appear in their counties. And so they largely ignored it. You remember in this show, me pleading with my colleagues that allow the process to continue, and even if you don't participate, await the product before you condemn it, because they're all condemning it. And they all swore that they will not go to Bomas. When then somehow they found wind that it was not so disastrous, they all trooped to Bomas, but with a different cry, that they were now not included. They couldn't have been properly included because they were Johnny-come-latelys. They couldn't have been part of the program. But then now at Bomas, they promised that they support the entire document and they will, you know, go with it. In fact, they wanted it to go through Parliament. They had not remembered that if you look carefully at the document, even as it is, without any changes, you would not go through a parliamentary initiative. You would require a referendum. An admission that finally, like my friend Murkomen made the other day in Mombasa. Now, having done that, and then our team, with other like-minded Kenyans, decided to do what the president had urged and the report urges, which is to share it and discuss it. When we started doing that, they said, no, that's a very bad idea. Where are you getting the money? Then when they realized it was going on, my friend Boni Halwale, for the second minute, decided to try something parallel, something in Nabongo grounds, as the other one was going on in Buhungu Stadium. Not remembering that even that obviously needed some money, wherever that money was coming from. Let's just say that he was abandoned by all who had promised to appear with him, I think except 2, including the Jubilee MPs in Kakamega. You know, some even there were stories that they had been kidnapped, and that was the end of that story. Nobody has ever come to tell us whether they were actually kidnapped and who kidnapped them and where they were taken, unless it was a friendly kidnap. Now, they then realized that that was not working, and then they now said they will join up and they will storm the Mombasa meeting, which for me is a good thing. You remember last Tuesday, I was urging that just like Mudavadi, just like Wetangula, I was hoping the DP and his team would see the sense of coming to join in the meetings. Shortly thereafter, they announced that they will appear in Mombasa. I didn't see either Aaron or Dr. Halwale, but Senator Murkomen, Susan Kihika, and a host of others actually did come. And when they came, contrary to what people were fearing, it was actually a very nice meeting. They were given the opportunity to speak. Murkomen recognized that we would require a referendum, supported the process. And for me now, I thought that we are now going to walk this together. But then I think somebody realized that even that was a mistake to add to the confusion. So they've retreated back. And in retreating back now, they've decided that they want to organize parallel meetings. For me, at the end of the day, personally, I see nothing wrong with any Kenyan anywhere organizing a meeting that is lawful, that is tempered in language, that is non-violent, to discuss what they believe is the content of the report or the adjustments that should be made.
Thank you. Just
it's only one thing. I think it is in absolute bad taste to have a situation where members of parliament, obviously at the call and beckon of the deputy president, should meet and basically declare support for the deputy president against the president. That should be the ultimate time when DP Ruto decides that now I'm going my own way, let me resign as deputy president.
Let's leave it at that. Let's hear from Kimani Matange. Good morning.
Morning, Dibal. Let me also take the opportunity to say good morning to our viewers. And Dibal, I don't know what we call this concoction that's being made here. You know, looking at the cartoon, do we call it soup? Is it broth? But it can't be porridge. It has got to, you know, the word broth probably would describe closer to what it might be. Because, I mean, if it comprises of watermelons, you know, and comprises of rat traps and shoes that have been worn. But curious enough or interesting enough is that even the makers of the soup, some of them are making it while inside the pot. you can see there, Murkomen and Raila actually inside the pot, starting from inside, and serving directly to the mouth of one who is purported to be the DP. So I believe it must be a very unhealthy concoction to begin with. But then, having said that, Dibal, I think the question that you asked whether politicians are taking over this process, fairly rightly and honestly, it is as close as what you've said, in my view, because you know when this process was started, and if you look at the deliberate choice of the committee members themselves, it kept away largely from politicians. Albeit there were a few, but largely it kept away from politicians because of fear of now what is happening, in my view, and it is important that we also let Kenyans know, and I have said that is my opinion, that we are now straight on to continuous campaign until the elections. It is unlikely that this is going to abate anytime soon, because see, this process is supposed to lead us to amendments of the law. in the constitution, either by a referendum and other means, as has been said. And so that requires continuous debate. The process as we have it right now, if it was going to be a toned down process, then maybe we would have had a more cool, quiet, and sober environment to continue the service delivery that one would envisage would be required right now. But going by the momentum that this has taken off, the decisions that have been taken in between by different groups, that starts with the group that is in Mombasa, the original BBI, now the new group that met in Naivasha. Now this is going to be full-fledged. Rallies all over the country, absolute campaign, and I think Kenyans would need to brace themselves for that. So the questions would be, in my view, would holding parallel rallies for that matter, for the same purpose, the BBI, would it be helpful to the country? And I hardly would imagine that is going to be very helpful. I'll tell you why. Just reflect back to our constitution-making process, just pre-2010, and all the conversation that was held in the country, different forums, different meetings, and the focus now slowly of the country converged absolutely to the constitution. And then until when we exhaled, when the document was finally launched. What we've done now is to manage to hijack the entire national psyche. And other matters of priority as we move on at this pace are going to take second place. And everybody now, if you go to Kiambu, if you go to Isiolo, if you go to Mandera, right now the talk in everybody's mouth, including the clerk in the office, including the governor, including the woman in the village, is about BBI. So the question would be, is this what we intended to have right now, or did we want to have a process that is going to be well regulated, with those gentlemen who said yesterday, interesting enough, and it was aired on your channel, Dibal, that the BBI committee and team held its first meeting. But when they were holding their first meeting, there were how many other meetings that had been held? And so I'm bringing this to answer to your question in the affirmative. And I think politicians have deliberately taken it over. Maybe I would put this question to the Haji team. How will they eventually make sense of what is happening in all the rallies and bring it into the document that they are going to present? And remember, the rallies that we are going to, BBI original, and now BBI, I think it's better to call BBI to the new team, because now we have two. And then one would want to find out how will these views all then be merged to find their way into that document. And remember, the only document that is going to be admitted legally is the one that Haji will present. Mm-hmm. And no matter what we all say outside here, it is his document that carries, what you would call the semi-legal as of this moment.
Thank you.
Momentum.
Thank you very much.
And let me say that for the country, we have to rethink, in my view. And I would want to urge my colleagues in politics, can we take a second look at this and ask ourselves, are we taking the right direction in this? And I'm not saying that personally myself I will not attend the BBI rallies. I will. When they come to Kiambu, and what I would be saying to my colleagues, is it necessary that we chase this thing all over, wherever it goes, and taking this agenda to Mombasa, the same guys in Kakamega, the same guys now, and they have a new one that will be in Nakuru and the other places. Can we let the committee, as it were, do its work? But when the rallies are in Kiambu, collect the views of your people in Kiambu, bring them to that one rally, let it end there, and this team goes away with your views.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, a good, of course, suggestion there. And the question will be also, maybe to Jacob Dio, why don't we suspend all these rallies as they are right now? We're taking momentum, and then we just concentrate particularly on what the task force is, to do. And then afterwards, when they come with their recommendations, is when now we can hit the ground running with their recommendations? Because as it is right now, we have two parallel meetings. We have now the task force, we have all these rallies, as you say, Wamatangi. Is this also bound to affect also maybe the deliberations of a task force, right? So that now they're independently, you know, just working instead of having all these influences, you know, and maybe suggestions and innuendos coming from the BBI rallies. What is your take?
The answer is no. Suspend nothing. Escalate. You know, we are trying
suspend nothing, escalate.
Escalate.
Okay.
We are trying to change a constitution during peace times. And in the last 7 years, so to speak, but particularly the last 2 years, the Tanga team have been the only ones playing politics. A constitution is a political document. And if you tell people don't go to Mombasa and wait, how is somebody in Sierra going to know that the people of Coast Province have issues of land? These things must be echoed by the media. In fact, the media is doing such a superb job. I must congratulate you for always taking this negative statement from Aaron when he says you guys are part of the problem.
It's criticism.
You are doing, yeah, no, well, criticism can also be positive.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying they are doing a superb job, the opposite of what you're saying. Okay. But, no, to say politicians have hijacked the process, it's really mischievous. Article 1 of the Constitution says the power belongs to the people. And that power may be exercised through elected leaders. The people I saw in Mombasa are the elected leaders and the politicians. They were doing the right thing. In fact, the two people who spoke there best for me were Murkomen and Moses Wetangula. They spoke to the issues BBI. The rest were there. It's a political event. You know, what is the problem here now, Tibal, is that after 2 years of noise and noise without substance, for that matter, by Team Tanga, now this other team is countering. Because for 2 years, remember when people were talking about BBI, they were saying, no, the constitution is new, we can't change it. Now they have said we are supporting it. And then in the same breath, they are saying they do not want the debate to move on.
Yes.
How do people debate? Do you want us to debate in churches or in Busa or Changa dens? What are you saying? And how do you know the pointers to the issues?
Right. Let me just continue as I try and sort out your mic. Continue.
Yeah.
Yes, continue.
Because the people in across the country are people who want to listen to news, to politicians. What did Uhuru say? What did Raila say?
Yeah, just continue with it.
By Uhuru saying that Kenya cannot move forward this way. He is the top politician in the country, and he has engaged the other top politician, and they are saying, let us talk about our future. And you know, what the problem is this deceitful nature of our politicians. Even the ones saying the politicians have hijacked are also politicians. And when you say the people are not included, I do not know, I was in Kakamega. If those are not the people, and I saw Mombasa on TV, if those are not the people, then somebody is really trying to twist the meanings of things. And lastly, let me offer free advice to the DP. You cannot say you are supporting and then give conditions. You will lose. Let me just tell you, the force of
but what conditions has he given? Can you give us some of example of the conditions that he's given?
Well, I saw Murkomen talking. And when I say DP, I mean the whole construction of the Tanga team. Murkomen was saying when they go to those rallies, for you to talk, you must first of all sing the praise of the leader of the I watched him last night. No, but you're not Murkomen.
Just a moment.
Play that clip.
But you're not Murkomen.
He said the opposite of what you're saying.
No, he may have. But let me
And
offer
what did
my
he say?
advice.
Just a moment.
What
did he say?
He said we will entertain politicians from all color and shade, and you will not be forced to sing any recital before you make a point, as was the case in Mombasa.
What did
But
you
that
hear?
is exactly what I'm saying. What have I said which is different?
But you're saying that he said, according to him, you'll have to make a certain recital before speaking to the people. That's
you know
opposite.
You are a student of literature. Stop feigning. You know I'm from game. I understand this sentence. But let us continue with the debate. Let me just give my advice.
But what you're saying is completely different from what Aaron Cheruiyot
No,
is
what I
actually...
am saying, Murkomen said that when you go to those rallies offered by the team, like the one he attended in Mombasa, you must first of all say you are loyal to Raila Odinga before you are allowed to talk. All those people cannot talk. Those were hundreds of MPs. And many of them, you know, I've been a member of parliament for 15 years. Half the time, MPs stand and say, I agree with what Boni Halwale said. You know, but if you go there, you're supporting. Why must you talk? Many of them, Kenyans, don't even know their faces. It is not a place where you go and practice how to talk. It is a place where substance is presented, like Kingi presented. In fact, if I was advising them, after Kingi presented, one or two people should have talked and it is over. Because it was a presentation to the people and the nation. And the media was there covering it live. But my advice is that if you want to go to war, please understand your enemy. You see the cartoon? It means the enemy, the Tanga have not understood their enemy. They have not understood that the person they think is their enemy can play 10 football matches in different fields at the same time.